Wow, how's this for a first impression? Jones House has environmental issues at heart. Sun protection, solar radiation, energy, and water consumption have all been considered in its design. The result is a home that is comfortable, efficient, sustainable, and most of all, unique. An envelope of planted steel structures creates individual green bubbles of microclimates for each living space. These provide cooler spaces in summer and sunny protected areas in winter. The house has a comprehensive energy strategy, which includes a solar energy system for all heating requirements. Summer cooling is achieved by effective solar shading and supplemented with direct evaporative cooling. All available rainwater is collected and wastewater is recycled in a garden wetland system. Hello.
Hi, Janine. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So I'm getting to spend some time with Ken Stucke from Environment Response Architecture. We're out at the Jones House in Hurlingham, Johannesburg. It's a beautiful green abode, and you're going to give me the grand tour.
Yes.
Awesome. Shall we?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's. Ken, I honestly think I would struggle to get out of bed if I lived in this lush environment every day.
It's a beautiful space that the client has made for themselves here in the middle of Sandton. It's like a little island. It's very peaceful. It's very lush. It's like a little mini natural jungle.
Yes.
It's really quite beautiful.
So what's your personal favorite spot on the outside of this house?
Definitely this area here.
Oh gosh, it is beautiful. I actually completely missed that, but it's so gorgeous. Wow.
Look, the whole idea of the house is that it sort of simulates a forest.
Okay.
So there are these steel structures, and on those steel structures are all these plants that are growing over those. And they sort of make tiny little forests everywhere where the house living spaces open out onto the outside garden.
Yes.
And the idea of that is that a forest is always going to be cooler in the day when it's hot, and it's always going to be warmer in a cold winter's night or something.
Well, I'd say it would be a real sin to leave here and not experience that pocket of beauty. So, Ken, I think we need to take a little break.
Yeah.
And explore.
Great, let's go have a look. Did you feel that? As we walked in there.
I can feel an immediate drop in temperature. It's so much cooler.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's not even a particularly hot day today, but it is quite muggy and warm outside. As soon as you walk into here, it's refreshing, it's cool, it's breezy, it's not stagnant. Plants evaporate water. They suck water out of the soil. And in doing so, there's actually like a shower of cool air that falls out from plants. We're standing in this cool column of air constantly falling out of these plants as they are working.
Don't you just love Mother Nature and a bag of tricks?
I love her.
Awesome. Well, this resembles a chimney to me. So is it something that's actually functional to the green system of this house?
What it is, it's a great big stone chimney, and on the top there's a mechanical evaporative cooler. And on a very, very hot day, that machine will pump evaporatively cooled air down the chimney and into the house. So it's an active cooling system, but it's a much more energy efficient system than your normal air conditioning.
Yes.
And then mirrored next to it is a green chimney, which in fact does a very similar sort of thing, except it does use the plants again. And whenever it's a very, very hot day, that green chimney sprays water at the plants, waters the plants, and again, a column of cold, wet air will fall down that chimney and flood those spaces that we were just in.
Now, Ken, I think I'm starting to pick up a pattern that some things are not just for show with this house. I think that most things are functional. How about these slats?
Yeah, this is the sun shading. It's a plastic and sawdust compound, very durable. It works very well. It doesn't disintegrate over the years in the ultraviolet, and is specially positioned to block out the summer morning sun, which would come from a southeast direction, but it allows in the winter morning sun that'll come from a northeast direction.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, sun in winter is really what
That's what you want, especially in the mornings.
Yes. On this side, I spot some serious big green machines.
Yeah, these are the great big water tanks. There are 4 of them. They're 10,000 liters each, so that means there's 40,000 liters of storage here. This is all rainwater, which is harvested from the roof. Okay. We've got a whole bunch of devices which throw off the leaves. They're called leaf shedders. Then there's a first flush diverter, which allows the first bit of rainfall, which is all dusty and full of muck, to not enter the system. And then all of the cleaner water from the roof ends up in these tanks, and this is what then feeds the house with water anytime somebody opens a tap. So that's how that works.
Now, Ken, it seems that there are many waste-saving devices, but where does it all go?
Yeah, well, interesting you asked that, because we've ended up on what I call the stomach of the house. So what happens is that the house feeds itself with water from the roof, from the rain, and then all of the wastewater from the house, every single thing, ends up in a septic tank that we're actually standing on top of right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You wouldn't have thought it. You can't smell it. You don't know about it.
Master of disguise, you are.
Yeah. So this is a digestive system. Basically, there's bacteria in here which eat the waste and break it down. And these bacteria live without oxygen. It's a whole oxygen-free environment. So it's called anaerobic digestion. But then we pump the water out into that other machine over there, which is an aerobic digester. And it has a whole different series of bacteria that live in it, which live with oxygen. From there, the wastewater actually enters this whole wetland system, which is the reason why this garden looks like a jungle.
Well, Ken, I see that you're attracting some very interesting visitors up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of biodiversity built into the whole idea of the house. The water, the plants and everything are intended to encourage a huge amount of different animals and species. In fact, the frogs found the wetlands in 7 days after they were finished. And the plants have been chosen for attracting birds, either because they produce seeds that birds like, or nesting materials, or fruits that birds like. So let's go and see what the Hadidars found up there. There's things to show you up there.
So we can go up there?
Yep.
So keen. Okay. Well.
Are you good with it?
Talk about being on the edge, people.
Yeah, you good. You go, girl.
While I feel on top of the world, I gather that this is a rather integral part of what makes this beautiful home function as well.
Yeah, dead right. The sun's energy that hits any building, 70% of it hits the roof. So we've used this roof as an energy farm. We harness the sun's energy on the roof. What we've got up here is there's 2 PV arrays, which means photovoltaic. So these are panels, solar panels that make electricity. Over there, those are the solar thermal panels. Now, what those do is they make heat from the sun's energy, and they heat a whole battery of hot water that we'll talk about downstairs again.
Well, back down the rabbit hole, I guess.
Let's go down. So this is where all of that energy ends up. Well, there are 2 of these rooms. This is where half of the story is. This is a plant room. This is the water plant room, or technical room, if you like.
Okay.
So...
Wow, this is quite the stunner.
Okay, what happens here is all of the sun's energy, which is collected in those solar thermal panels, the heating ones, they heat. This is 1,000 liters of water, which is a heat battery. And those panels heat this battery up to 90 degrees centigrade, which is hell of a hot. We then take the energy in that water out to either heat the domestic hot water, which we take from the top half, which is the hottest part of the tank. So whenever you want hot water in the house, this is where the energy to heat that water comes from. When the bottom half of the tank we use for the underfloor heating, and that's what heats the house in winter. The other plant room on that side, you saw the PV panels, which make electricity from the sun?
Yes.
Okay, so they feed into this room, and there's quite an impressive distribution board over here.
Multicolor.
Yeah. And then here you've got the inverters, which feed the energy from the PV panels into the house. The way this works actually is that we generate much more electricity than we need during the day. So what we actually do is we use Eskom's grid as our battery. And in fact, we feed extra energy into the grid during the day, and our meter turns backwards. And then at nighttime, we then pull the energy back. And so Eskom is our battery. We don't have any batteries here because batteries are a bit of a problem.
Now, Ken, being that you're a rehabilitated hippie architect, where would a normal person start with doing what you've done here?
And in very simple ways, the sort of things that one should consider when thinking about being green is how much energy you use, how much water do you use, how much waste do you make? And, you know, composting, worm farms, all of these things are actually ways of dealing with waste. You can collect your rainwater, you can use that for irrigation or even for your house. You can just be energy conscious, switch lights off. You can try to draft-proof your windows. You can try to seal whatever, when you are heating your house, just try and keep that heat in. Insulate your roof is one of the first things that everybody must do. So there are a lot of very, very simple things that people can do, just thinking about how do I save energy, how do I save water, and how do I reduce my waste.
Well, you've set a fine tone on how one can really be green in a home. So thank you so much, Ken. This has really got me excited about our next stop, which is in Pretoria. We'll see exactly how Innes has gone completely off the grid. But before we get there, we'll check in with our hypertext geeks to see who is the smartest smartwatch of them all.